Have you noticed how almost everyone talks about being present these days, yet hardly anyone truly is? The word mindfulness has become a trend. It's on Instagram posts, tea labels, yoga classes, and app ads. But deep down, something feels empty, as if we were talking about a fragrance without ever having smelled it, as if we were trying to live in the now while rushing through it. But what if I told you that mindfulness has nothing to do with productivity, nor with having a clear mind or appearing zen to others? Mindfulness is not a performance. It's a return, a deep return to something long forgotten, but still alive, pulsing, breathing through ancient Eastern traditions. And if you're here with me now, it's because some part of you, even if quiet, wants to stop running, wants to feel again, wants to know what's real. Welcome to Axiom Sage, timeless wisdom from the East to transform your mind and spirit. This is living practice. Today, I want to take you on a journey from hype to the root, from noise to silence, from confusion to a clarity that doesn't impose, it simply reveals itself. Because when we truly understand where mindfulness comes from, the practice stops being a technique and becomes a path. Imagine for a moment a monk sitting in silence, facing a blank wall. He's not waiting for visions. He's not trying to meditate correctly. He's not competing with his own thoughts. He's simply whole, breathing, feeling, observing. This image is far older than any self-help book, and it holds a profound truth. The mind finds peace only when it stops fighting the present. In the West, mindfulness was simplified, reduced to a technique for focus, performance, self-control. But in the original Buddhist tradition, where the practice was born, mindfulness has another name, sati. And sati isn't about focus, it's about remembrance. Remembering to be, remembering you are alive, remembering that every moment is sacred. And in Taoism doesn't talk about mindfulness as a concept. It lives it as essence. When Lao Tzu wrote, "He who is rooted in stillness is close to the truth," he was speaking of this exactly. The Tao doesn't demand control, it invites you to flow. Mindfulness in the Tao is this: being in harmony with the moment without pushing or resisting. Now close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel the air enter and leave. Nothing else. Nothing to fix. Nothing to prove. This is the first door, and it costs nothing, but opens everything. You might be thinking, but my mind won't stop. I try, but I keep thinking again. Yeah, because your mind was trained for this. From an early age, you were taught to rush, compare, predict, analyze, control, and suddenly someone says, be present. But how? The mind doesn't know how to slow down. It needs to be relearned, with care, with practice, with patience. Real mindfulness doesn't start in the mind. It starts in the breath, then moves through the body, and only then touches the mind gently. Shall we practice? Right now, sit comfortably, inhale to a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 2 seconds. Exhale to a count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Repeat once more. Inhale to a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 2 seconds. Exhale to a count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now ask yourself, what changed in my body? Where is my attention now? That is the seed. You just watered your own presence. In Zen tradition, there's a saying, when you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. It sounds simple, but when was the last time you ate without scrolling your feed? When was the last time you walked with no headphones, no goal, no distractions? Mindfulness is radical in its simplicity, and that's why it's so hard to practice in a world that pulls us out of ourselves. But here, in this video, I want you to allow yourself to return, allow yourself to fail, allow yourself to try again. And if some part of you is saying, but what if I never get it right? Say, I am here now. And that is already enough. If this message resonated with you, consider subscribing to Axiom Sage. Here, every video is a practice in presence. Each word is born from the intention to remind you that you are already whole. Click subscribe, turn on the bell, and keep walking with us on this journey within. When you hear the word meditate, what comes to mind? Maybe an image of someone with eyes closed, sitting in lotus position, perfectly still. Maybe the idea that you need to empty your mind, or even the belief that this isn't for you. But the truth is, mindfulness isn't about stopping your thoughts. It's about observing your thoughts without being pulled by them. Imagine your mind is the sky, and your thoughts are clouds. Some are dense, some are light, some are dark, some pass quickly. Mindfulness is the state in which you remember you are not the clouds. You are the sky, spacious, vast, deep, unchanging. And now that you've remembered that, you can begin to cultivate that space. With time, you'll notice thoughts come and go. And you can watch them all without needing to follow them. That's the real practice. In Theravada Buddhism, this practice is called vipassana, which literally means to see clearly. And clarity isn't having all the answers. It's seeing what's already there, without the filter of urgency or expectation. Clarity is breathing and noticing that anger is present without suppressing it. It's feeling sadness rise without running away from it. It's looking at fear and continuing to breathe. That clarity is freedom. But to cultivate it, you need three things: silence, repetition, kindness. Silence doesn't mean the absence of sound, but the absence of automatic reaction. Repetition builds the neural pathways where presence becomes natural. And kindness is what transforms a technique into a spiritual path. Without kindness, mindfulness becomes just another goal. With kindness, it becomes a home. Now listen closely. You won't get it right in the first few days. Your mind will wander. You'll forget to breathe. You'll judge yourself. But that's okay. In Zen, they say, perfect practice is falling 7 times and getting up 8. It doesn't matter how many times you lose yourself. What matters is how many times you return. And the act of returning is already meditation. Have you ever tried drinking a glass of water in silence? No phone, no distractions, no rush, just water. Body, presence. That simple act, done with awareness, holds more healing power than 1,000 words. That's informal meditation. It's living with attention, and it's just as valuable as sitting in silence for 30 minutes. Because in Taoism, it's said, simplicity is the path to greatness. Now imagine that everything you do in a day, every step, every gesture, every choice, could be done as if it were a sacred ritual. You wash your hands as if purifying your energy. You put on clothes as if preparing your spirit. You walk as if each step were a return to now. That is mindfulness, not as a trend, but as a lived philosophy. Maybe you've heard someone say, but that doesn't work for me. My mind is too busy. But what if the busy mind is actually the invitation? The body's way of saying, you've drifted too far from yourself. Because the more inner noise you feel, the more urgently you need silence. And mindfulness is not a gift reserved for a few. It's an innate right for all. You were born with access to it. You were just trained to forget. Now I invite you to practice with me one more time. Close your eyes, sit or lie down, breathe. On the inhale, say silently, I am here. On the exhale, nothing is missing now. Repeat for 3 breaths. Notice what shifts, even if it's subtle. This is the beginning of inner alchemy. In Eastern traditions like Chinese Chan, which gave rise to Japanese Zen, the masters didn't teach with concepts. They served tea. They pointed to a stone. They observed the wind and said, the teaching is right there. Mindfulness to them wasn't a mental state. It was a way of living, of eating, of sitting, of breathing, of dying. And you can access that now without renouncing your life, just by changing how you live it. Are you still with me? If you've come this far, you've already taken steps that most people never do. Most want shortcuts. They want formulas. They want control. But you chose the return, and that in itself is transformation. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. Click subscribe, turn on notifications, and receive weekly seeds of living wisdom. No rush, no cliches, no masks. Here at Axiom Sage, you'll be reminded of who you are. You don't need to sit in lotus position to meditate. You don't need an altar or a special cushion or incense. You only need to be fully present in the moment, standing in line at the store, in the middle of a coffee break, during a solitary walk. True meditation happens in the middle of life, when you're face to face with someone and you can hear not just their words, but the silences between them. When you feel the weight of your reactions rising, but choose to breathe. That is meditation. That is mindfulness. That is presence. And all of it can happen with your eyes open. In Taoism, this has a name, Wu Wei, action without effort, without resistance, without friction. Like a river flowing around rocks. It doesn't fight, but it doesn't stop either. Have you ever felt that? A moment when everything seems to flow, your words are clear, your decisions need no defense, your presence is enough. That is the Tao living through you. It's mindfulness not as effort, but as a natural reflection of a quiet mind. A quiet mind is not an empty mind. It's a mind that has learned to witness without clinging, like still water that reflects everything without holding on to anything. And to cultivate that stillness, you don't need to stop feeling. You only need to feel with awareness. You can be angry and still be present. You can be afraid and still be present. Because presence doesn't exclude emotions. It illuminates them. Have you noticed that often the greatest suffering comes from resisting what we feel? We want to not be anxious, not be sad, not feel insecure, and the more we resist, the stronger these states grow. Mindfulness invites us to do the opposite, to say, okay, anxiety, I see you, sit here, I'm listening. And with that simple gesture of acknowledgement, something softens. One of the deepest practices in Buddhism is called shamatha. It means to calm the mind. But this calm isn't the absence of movement. It's the stillness of a deep lake. Even when the surface is stirred by wind, The depths remain undisturbed. You can live like this, with thoughts passing, but your core staying grounded. It doesn't happen overnight, but every conscious breath brings you closer. Now I'd like to guide you in another exercise. Close your eyes. Bring to mind something that's been bothering you. Don't run from it. Look at it. Don't try to understand. Feel it. Breathe with it present. Allow it to exist without trying to change it. With every inhale, say, I see you. With every exhale, and it's okay for now. This is the gesture that transforms emotion into clarity, pain into wisdom, noise into insight. In the Chan tradition, masters used to say, when the student is ready, even the sound of rain on the window becomes scripture. Because presence turns everything into teaching. You don't need more knowledge. You need more silence. Not to understand, but to hear what's already there. Let's talk about difficult conversations. Mindfulness is powerful here too, because in relationships, we're most likely to react unconsciously. Want to cultivate more presence in dialogue? Here's a practice. Before responding, breathe. Before interrupting, breathe. Before judging, breathe. 3 seconds of pause can prevent 3 hours of conflict. Because most of the time, the other person doesn't need a response. They need your presence. You feel it when someone is truly there with you. Their gaze, their body, their listening, everything transmits attention. It's rare and therefore precious. You can be that presence for others and for yourself. Mindfulness is also about recognizing your limits, knowing when to stop, to unplug, to disconnect, not as an escape, but as respect. There's a difference between abandoning the world and abandoning yourself in the world. The first can be wisdom, the second, neglect. Mindful awareness invites you to care for the one thing you truly have, your energy. Are you still with me? Then take one more deep breath. Feel your body. Notice what's changed since we began. Maybe something has slowed. Maybe not. Either way, it's okay. What matters most is that you're here, and that alone is enough. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. At Axiom Sage, we honor your time, your search, your silence. Here, every video is a reminder that life doesn't have to be rushed and that the present is always enough. Click subscribe now and let's continue together. Mindfulness isn't about perfection, it's about seeing. Seeing with the eyes of the body, with the ears of the soul, with the silence of the heart. But there is an ancient map drawn from the Buddha's own teachings that reveals 4 foundations on which true mindfulness rests. They are called the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And if you truly understand them, you'll change how you relate to absolutely everything. The first foundation is mindfulness of the body. It may sound simple, but it isn't. Have you noticed how the body is ignored most of the day? We wake up and the mind rushes ahead. To-do lists, notifications, meetings. But the body carries everything. The tension, the hunger, the fear, the anxiety. The practice is return to the body. Observe sensations. Feel what is present without trying to change it, without judgment. Just feel. You can begin with the breath or the soles of your feet or the movement of your hands. The body is the most honest anchor. It never lies. It never disconnects. It just needs to be heard. The second foundation is mindfulness of feelings. Not your thoughts, but the sensations your thoughts generate. That pinch in the chest when someone criticizes you, the lightness when you feel seen, the butterflies before a big decision. These are sensations, and they show you what's alive in you right now. Mindfulness doesn't ignore these sensations. It embraces them and gently asks, what is this trying to show me? The third foundation is mindfulness of the mind. But be careful here. The mind is clever. It wants control. It wants to figure everything out. But mindfulness isn't about control. It's about noticing. Right now, my mind is restless. Now it's distracted. Now it's judging. Now it's here. Without identifying, without reacting. You become the observer of your own mind, and that changes everything. The fourth foundation is mindfulness of phenomena. In other words, noticing how things arise and pass away. Anger comes, stays, then fades. Joy comes, stays, then fades. Life is impermanent. And mindfulness is the art of observing this flow without trying to grasp it. These four foundations are not steps. They are circles that touch each other. You move among them. And the more you practice, the more you notice. Presence expands. The mind softens. The body responds. The soul smiles. But there's something crucial that few people talk about. Mindfulness without compassion becomes rigidity. If you start turning mindfulness into a demand, into just another thing to get right, its meaning is lost. Mindfulness without gentleness is just self-control. It is not spirituality. It is not presence. So remember, be kind to yourself, to your story, to your process. In Buddhism, this act of compassion is called metta, loving kindness. It is the sincere wish that you be well, and that all beings be well. The practice begins like this. 1, close your eyes. 2, take a deep breath. 3rd, say inwardly, may I be at peace. May I be safe. May I feel loved. 4, then repeat this for someone you love. 5, then for someone neutral. 6, then for someone difficult. This is a powerful practice because it dissolves the barrier between you and the other. You start to realize this person who hurt me is also hurting. This person who annoys me also wants love. This person who seems indifferent also wants to be seen. And from there, real compassion arises, not as an ideal, but as an inner movement. Shall we breathe together now? Close your eyes, breathe in slowly. Exhale even slower. Feel the air touching your body from within. Feel the space between thoughts. Don't rush, don't force, just be. You are present, you are here, and this moment is enough. In Taoist tradition, there is a well-known symbol, Wuji, the empty circle before yin and yang. It is pure potential, before any thought, before any form, before any emotion. You once were this, and still are. When you breathe, when you go quiet, when you surrender, if all this touched something in you, if this stillness beginning to rise feels familiar, it's because it was always there. You just forgot how to return, and now you are coming back. If you haven't subscribed yet, this is the time. Axiom Sage is a sacred space with no exaggeration. Here, every video is an offering, a practice, a mirror. Subscribe, activate the bell, and leave a comment. I choose to be present. Have you ever asked yourself what it really means to evolve spiritually? At the beginning of mindfulness practice, it's common to have this idea that the more present you are, the fewer thoughts you'll have, fewer mistakes, fewer flaws, more inner silence all the time. But it's not quite like that. True spiritual progress isn't linear. It can't be measured in minutes of meditation or how many days you stuck to the perfect routine. In fact, progress doesn't show up on the zafu, the meditation cushion. It shows up in the middle of life. You know you've made progress when you breathe before reacting. You speak with more kindness. You listen more deeply. You cry without shame. You smile without needing a reason. You forgive even without closure. These are the real signs, and none of them require technique. All of them require presence. In the Tao Te Ching, there's a line that says, "He who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened." And true self-knowledge only happens in the light of attention. It's through presence that you begin to see the patterns, the triggers, the emptiness, the old habits that always return. Not so you can blame yourself, but so you can embrace what is. Now, a hard truth, you're going to slip. You'll forget. You'll go days without practicing, and that's okay. The goal isn't perfection, it's return. You can start again at any moment, right now, for example. Take a deep breath. Come back to your body. Come back to yourself. You're already on the path. At this point, you may feel an inner impulse. I want to get organized. Create a ritual. Be more disciplined. That's beautiful, but remember, a ritual shouldn't become a prison. It should be a refuge. So here's a simple proposal, a 5-minute daily mindfulness ritual. 1. Upon waking before checking your phone, sit up in bed. 2. Place one hand on your chest and one on your belly. 3. Inhale with the phrase, "I choose to be present." 4. Exhale with the phrase, "This moment is enough." 5. Stay like that for 10 breaths. 6. When you finish, smile, even if it's just a small smile. This gesture changes the tone of your day. No matter what comes after, you start rooted in yourself. Now let's touch on something essential, comparison. At some point, your mind will try to measure your progress based on others. So-and-so has been meditating longer. That person seems more peaceful. I should be more evolved by now. But the spiritual path isn't a race. It's a blossoming. Everyone has their own season, their own soil, their own timing. And mindfulness is, above all, the art of respecting your own rhythm. Zen Master Dogen, founder of the Soto Zen school, said, "To study the way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. Because the deeper you go, the more you see there is no you separate from what's happening. You are the sound of rain. You are the emotion that rises. You are the pause before the word. You are everything that breathes. And when you realize that, the whole world becomes your practice." Now let's talk about something that affects millions, burnout. Burnout isn't just physical, it's emotional, mental, spiritual, and it's usually born from disconnection from the present. You spend days running without listening to your body, without naming your exhaustion, without stopping. Mindfulness is the antidote, but not the rush kind sold in 60-second videos. The real kind. The kind that makes you close your eyes in the middle of chaos. And remember, I can stop. I can breathe. I can return. In monasteries, there's a bell that rings several times a day. It's not just for rituals. It's to remind the monks to pause and return to presence. You can have a bell too, symbolic or literal. Set a soft alarm, wear a bracelet, choose a phrase. Every time you hear or see your symbol, say silently, "This is the moment." This kind of reminder, repeated with intention, plants real roots of presence within you. You don't need to leave everything behind. You don't need to go to Asia. You don't need to become a monk. You can be a silent practitioner in the middle of the city, in your ordinary routine, with your fears, your bills, your pressures, and still live with your whole soul. That is the power of real mindfulness. Not as a trend, but as a return. If this touched something in you, if you feel this way of living is possible for you, subscribe to the channel now, not for me, but for you. Each video here is made to remind you of the essential, of what's hidden behind the rush, of what's calling, even when everything else screams. Leave a comment. I return to myself. And know this, we are walking together. Breathe, feel the silence. Notice what remains, because what remains is what matters. Since we began this conversation, something subtle may have shifted within you. Maybe a gentle slowing down, maybe a new space between thought and breath. If you wish, pause now, take a deep breath, and notice what feels different. That is already presence. Let me show you how presence affects not only your inner being, but also your relationships with others. Imagine this. You come home after a stressful day. Someone tells you something important, and you respond with, "I'm fine," before even understanding what the other person said. That happens because the mind is in the future, rushing, controlling, expecting, and the body without presence disconnects. But what if you go against that tendency? What if, before answering, you just breathe and feel? In the act of resting the mind and bringing attention to the body, your whole presence becomes more refined. And presence, in turn, transforms the quality of your conversations. They'll notice. You won't have to say it, they'll feel it. Mindfulness is not just about looking inward. It's about expanding presence into a gaze, into a word, into a hug, and it doesn't stop there. Mindfulness is also powerful in the workplace. How many meetings end with the feeling of, "I never said what I really meant"? How many decisions are made on autopilot without listening to the body saying it's tired, irritated, or unmotivated? Presence brings clarity. It silences mental noise. It helps you act without fear, without reactivity, with genuine focus. You who seek personal transformation, mental balance, and inner peace already know. These states don't come from technique. They come from embodied presence, a calmness in the body, a breath-filled silence, a choice made with awareness. Now let me remind you of an ancient meditative word from Buddhism, Sangha. It represents the community walking the path of transformation, sharing practices, telling stories, speaking about challenges that strengthens one's own purpose. Here at Axiom Sage, that's who we are, a digital Sangha, but a real one. Each comment, each presence, builds a space of healing for all. Have you ever tried doing a repetitive task, washing dishes, folding clothes, and simply being there, fully present in each movement, each texture, each sound? That is informal meditation. And what seems ordinary becomes sacred, because each gesture is carried out with presence, and every presence becomes an offering. This kind of attention brings personal transformation, a pause between stimulus and response, genuine connection with others, ritual in the everyday, bringing freedom. Freedom to live without pressure, without performance, without anxiety. All of this is mindfulness, lived in motion, in the body, in the world. By the way, remember the word compassion we mentioned earlier? Mindfulness can feel hollow if not flavored with kindness. Without kindness and compassion, the path can become rigid. Attention with self-care, attention to boundaries, attention to what the body's asking for. That's not indulgence. It's respect. It's loving presence. Mindfulness with metta. Shall we practice that now? Inhale, may I be well. Exhale, may I be safe. Now repeat for someone dear. Inhale, may you be well. Exhale, may you be safe. Let it touch your heart. And now, presence meets action. Like the Taoist concept of Wu Wei, presence faces action without force, because to act with presence doesn't drain energy, it expands it. And those who live this way act with truth. No performance, no gimmicks. From this calm, anchored in compassion, comes clarity for your next step. You begin to feel whether a decision is out of alignment. You can sense if a relationship needs more words or more space. You can know whether your body needs rest or movement. Mindfulness gives you back access to your inner GPS. Here's another powerful, transformative practice. Walking meditation. No temple required. All you need, choose a short 5-minute path. Walk in silence. Feel each step. Notice the sensations in your feet, legs, body. Observe the world without judgment. Repeat this during the week. You'll be surprised by what the world reveals when your body walks. Present. You who seek personal transformation, mental balance, and inspiration already know that the external world won't slow down. But what will calm your life is the presence you cultivate, the attention you honor, the silence you respect. This is the great turning point. You in full action. You aligned in presence. Not through technique, but through embodied listening. Have you ever felt that everything inside you was agitated, but something very subtle deep down remained still? That's the power of continuous practice. Mindfulness, when nurtured, grows roots. And over time, even in moments of chaos, a part of you stays grounded. That part is your anchor, your center, your personal temple. And it doesn't come from technique. It comes from the habit of returning. Practice, when done with consistency, doesn't create a perfect mind. It creates a mind that returns home faster. And that home is the now. That's true transformation. It's not the disappearance of thought. It's the emergence of awareness. Imagine that each day you leave a small trace of presence, a more conscious breath, a gesture done with attention, a conversation held with presence. Over time, that trace becomes a path, and that path becomes home. Practice brings you back to yourself, and eventually you no longer need to remember to practice. You simply live present. But here's one detail to keep in mind. Practice is never the same. Some days it will feel light, other days difficult. At times you'll meditate with clarity, at others with chaos. And that's okay. That's how it is. What matters is staying committed, not to the result, but to the return. There's an image in Zen that says, sitting in meditation is like letting the mud settle at the bottom of the lake. You don't need to clean the water. You just need to let it be. And it clears on its own. That's how your emotions clear too. Now I want to guide you through a full meditation. If you can, sit with your spine upright, but without tension. Close your eyes. Allow yourself a few moments of inward care. Let's begin. Breathe in deeply. Breathe out slowly. Inhale with intention. Exhale with permission. Now bring to mind a situation that caused anxiety in recent days. It doesn't need to be something traumatic, just something that disturbed your calm. Observe the situation as if it were a movie playing before you. Watch without identifying with it. Notice the sensations in your body. Is there tension, tightness, contraction? Now direct your breath toward that point. On the inhale, say silently, I see you. On the exhale, I welcome you. Repeat this a few times. Let the tension dissolve. If it wants to, if not, respect its timing. Keep breathing. You don't need to fix anything. Just be present. Now bring your attention to your feet. Feel the contact with the ground. Imagine roots descending down to the center of the earth. You are grounded, safe, present. Breathe with this image. Let it remain within you. And when you're ready, slowly move your fingers. Gently open your eyes, your back. And even without leaving your place, you've traveled far. This practice, done every day, even for just 5 minutes, transforms the way you think, react, feel, and live. It's not a magic promise. It's a slow, deep, living construction. And you've already begun. Now I want to show you how mindfulness can be a source of creativity. It's not only for calming the mind. When you clear your inner space, ideas rise with more clarity. Intuition becomes stronger. The mind feels lighter to create. Many artists, writers, and inventors practice presence, not as a technique, but as a source of inspiration. Because where there is presence, there is space. And where there is space, the new is born. Do you feel this? On days when you are calm, focused, centered, decisions flow, conversations flow, life feels aligned. It's the flow state, so often mentioned in neuroscience. But ancient Eastern wisdom knew it long ago. It's the moment when action and awareness become one. In Zen, they say, before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, still chop wood and carry water. Nothing changes on the outside, but everything shifts within. You are present, whole, alive. If you've ever lived a moment like that, when time seemed to slow down, when life seemed to touch something deeper, leave a comment. I live the now. Sharing this creates echoes of truth and may inspire others to feel it too. In these final moments, I want to remind you of something you may have forgotten. You are whole. Even on the days when you feel broken, you are light. Even on the days when you feel shadowed, you are silence. Even when everything inside you feels like it's screaming. And the more you practice true mindfulness, the more you remember. The practice doesn't change you. It brings you back to yourself. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the moment. At Axiom Sage, each video is presence, a space to breathe, a pause in the noise. Click subscribe, turn on notifications, and join the community. Here, silence is seed, and wisdom is care. You've made it this far. That alone is a milestone. You've found silence in the midst of noise. You've taken a breath, even on heavy days. You've felt presence, even as the world pulled at your attention. Now it's time to align all of this with real life. Imagine this. One day something shakes you deeply. A diagnosis, a loss, a heartbreak, a sudden fear. What do you do when the practice doesn't feel like enough? Not becoming a monk, not running from everything, but being present anyway. Mindfulness isn't guaranteed success. It's a soft place to land in the chaos. And here is your final training. Close your eyes for a moment. Take 3 deep breaths. Allow the emotion to exist. Breathe with it. Say internally, here I am, here I allow. Don't force calmness. Don't demand clarity. Sink in. And when you're ready, open your eyes and continue. 3 steps. 1. Inhale. Feel your body alive. 2. Exhale. Feel your mental weight soften. 3. Ask your center, what serves this moment? Don't look for rational answers. Feel the voice of your body. It already knows. That brings presence and direction. Remember Wu Wei, to act without forcing, to act with clarity. It's not inaction. It's action free of compulsion. You act with awareness, not with anxiety. That is true, full action. Let's build your pillar. Every day when you wake, breathe consciously. Feel your feet touch the ground. Silently say, I am present. Finish with quiet gratitude. Thank you, life. This isn't a technique, it's a return. And this return sustains everything you live. When you're in a group, look into their eyes. Breathe for 3 seconds before speaking. Listen without planning your reply. Honor silence as part of the dialogue. This presence in connection creates real impact, more than any argument. You've lived this, or you know someone who has, so you know. Silence matters. Breathing matters. Being matters. Now I invite you into a final integration visualization. Close your eyes. Visualize yourself in an ancient temple atop a mountain. The wind passes, you hear it, the sun touches your skin, you feel it. Inside you, there's a flame. It holds everything you've practiced up to now. Breathe. Let it grow, without rush, without resistance. Let it bring wisdom, calm, courage, clarity, compassion. And now, breathe again. Open your eyes gently, your back, to the world, to life, to yourself, whole, present, where everything can become sacred again. If this video touched your heart, join our circle. Subscribe to Axiom Sage. Comment, I came home. Share with someone who needs the reminder. The now is already enough. We live in a time full of urgency, but now you know. Mindfulness is not a trend, is a return. Is your breath, body, presence, action, is the path home. Carry this calling with you, and the world will grow in harmony. Axiom Sage, timeless Eastern wisdom to transform your mind and spirit.